What does it take to become the most decorated actress in an entire country's film history? Not just one big role, not just one era of dominance, but decades of performances so powerful they reshaped what it meant to act on screen. Nora Aunor didn't just win awards. She collected them across generations, across continents, and across every major institution that mattered. From local critics' circles to international film festivals, from pop star to cultural icon, her trophy case tells a story most actors could never dream of living. But here's the thing. Some of her biggest wins came during the most controversial moments of her career. Some were tied to roles that sparked national conversations. Others were so unexpected, they forced the world to see Filipino cinema in a completely new light. And then there are the awards that came with whispers, rumors, and debates that still haven't been settled. So how did one woman go from singing love songs to becoming a living legend? What were the performances that made critics, juries, and entire nations stop and pay attention? And what really happened behind the scenes of her most iconic roles? Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the stories behind the legends. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's break it down. She didn't start as a serious actress. In the early 1970s, Nora Aunor was a pop sensation, known more for her voice than her dramatic range. She had millions of fans. But respect from the film industry? That was a different battle entirely. The movie world didn't take her seriously. They saw her as a singer playing dress-up, a celebrity cashing in on her name. Critics dismissed her early film work as shallow, commercial fluff designed to sell tickets, not win awards. She was typecast, underestimated, and constantly compared to actresses who had trained in theater, who came from prestigious acting families. But Nora had something they didn't: hunger. And in 1976, she proved them all wrong.
Inay, ano sa palagay ninyo? Magkatotoo kayang balita na lulusubin tayo ng mga...
She won the FAMAS Best Actress award for Tatlong Taong Walang Diyos. And suddenly, people weren't just watching her. They were studying her. FAMAS is one of the oldest and most prestigious film awards in the Philippines, often compared to the Oscars in cultural weight. Winning it meant proving you belonged in the conversation with the greats. And Nora did exactly that. Her portrayal of a woman caught between loyalty, war, and emotional survival wasn't flashy. It was restrained, quiet, almost uncomfortably real. Critics who had spent years dismissing her were forced to eat their words. They praised her for showing depth they never expected. The industry took notice. She went from celebrity to dramatic artist in one night, and the doubters had no choice but to watch her rise. But that first major win? That was just the spark. What came next would set the entire industry on fire. By the 1980s, she wasn't just winning awards, she was dominating them. In 1980, she took home the MNMFF Best Actress Award for Bona, a film that shocked audiences with its raw psychological realism. The Metro Manila Film Festival is the country's largest annual event, a battlefield where every major studio releases their biggest films. And Bona wasn't an easy watch. She played a woman so obsessively devoted to someone that it bordered on self-destruction. Her performance made people uncomfortable, the kind of discomfort that lingers long after the credits roll. Did you know? Some audiences reportedly walked out during screenings, not because it was bad, but because they couldn't handle watching someone unravel that realistically on screen. Critics called it fearless. The award cemented her reputation for choosing emotionally risky characters that other actresses wouldn't touch. And she did it without hesitation. But if people thought Bona was intense, they had no idea what was coming. Because 2 years later, she would take on a role so powerful, it would become legendary. Two years later, she delivered what many still consider the most iconic performance in Philippine film history. In 1982, she won FAMAS Best Actress again, this time for Himala. If you've ever heard of one Filipino film that transcends borders and generations, it's probably this one. She played a woman who claims to see visions of the Virgin Mary, sparking mass belief, religious fervor, and eventually, chaos. The film tackled religion, poverty, and the desperation of people searching for miracles in a world that offered them nothing. And Nora carried the entire weight of that narrative on her shoulders. The film's final monologue, Walang Himala, became a cultural reference point, quoted in classrooms, debates, even political speeches. Critics praised her for carrying the film almost entirely on emotional presence alone. No gimmicks, no overacting, just pure humanity. At the time, some theaters reportedly went silent for nearly a full minute after that final line. No applause, no chatter, just silence. But winning one award for that performance? That wasn't enough to capture what she'd done. Not even close. That same year, she won the Gawad Urian Best Actress Award for the exact same role. Now, Gawad Urian isn't just another trophy. It's given by the country's top film critics circle, a group known for prioritizing artistry over popularity. These are people who don't care about box office numbers or fan votes. They care about craft. Winning FAMAS meant the industry loved her. Winning Gawad Urian meant the critics considered her work essential. This wasn't just popular. It became required study for generations of filmmakers. And it confirmed something important. Nora Aunor wasn't just a star. She was a force of nature. But even with back-to-back wins for the same film, she wasn't about to coast. She had something to prove. And what came next would show just how far she was willing to go. In 1984, she won FAMAS Best Actress again, this time for Bulaklak sa City Jail. The film tackled poverty, crime, and systemic injustice through the lens of an incarcerated woman. It was one of the first mainstream Filipino films to humanize women in prison, to show them not as criminals but as people. Mothers, daughters, victims of circumstance. Her portrayal was raw, grounded, stripped of vanity, and impossible to ignore. She didn't glamorize the struggle. She just showed it, unflinchingly. The role strengthened her identity as a performer tied to socially conscious cinema. Someone who didn't just entertain, but made people confront uncomfortable truths. And once again, the critics agreed. Because this wasn't just good acting. This was activism through art. And the recognition didn't stop there. What happened next proved she wasn't just winning. She was sweeping. That same year, she swept the Gawad Urian Best Actress Award for Bulaklak sa City Jail, making it 2 consecutive years where she dominated both industry and critical recognition. Winning both FAMAS and Gawad Urian for the same role was rare. It highlighted her ability to be both commercially successful and artistically respected. She wasn't choosing between the two. She was doing both at the highest level, simultaneously, and the world was starting to notice. International film festivals began reaching out. Foreign critics started writing about her, and whispers began circulating. Could she break through globally? But with success comes scrutiny. And the next decade would test her in ways no award could prepare her for. The 1990s brought a new challenge. Could she maintain that level of excellence? In 1990, she proved the answer was yes. She won MMFF Best Actress for Andrea, Paano Ba ang Maging Isang Ina, a psychologically complex role exploring motherhood, trauma, and moral conflict. Critics called it a transition into darker, more layered character studies. She wasn't playing heroines anymore. She was playing real people. Flawed, broken, struggling, and sometimes failing. And audiences couldn't look away. The performance hit differently because it felt uncomfortably personal. Like she was excavating parts of herself and laying them bare for the world to judge. Some praised her courage. Others questioned if she'd gone too far. But everyone agreed. This was acting at its most vulnerable. And the industry was about to prove just how much they valued that vulnerability. That same year, she added another FAMAS Best Actress trophy for the same role. This win secured her place in FAMAS history and contributed to her eventual Hall of Fame status. Critics cited it as one of the most fearless depictions of maternal struggle in local cinema. And it reinforced something the industry already knew. When Nora Aunor took on a role, she didn't just play it. She lived it. She let it consume her until the line between actress and character blurred completely. But her biggest international moment was still ahead. The kind of moment that would shake two nations and put her name on the global stage in a way no one expected. In 1995, she won Best Actress at the Cairo International Film Festival for the Flor Contemplacion Story. Cairo is one of the oldest and most respected film festivals in the Middle East and Africa. And this wasn't just any role. She portrayed a real-life Filipino domestic worker whose case sparked international outrage. Diplomatic tension between the Philippines and Singapore, protests in the streets, and a national conversation about the exploitation of overseas workers. The story was heavy. The stakes were real. People had died. Families were torn apart. International juries praised her for delivering an understated, human-centered performance rather than falling into melodrama. This was a major moment, not just for her, but for Philippine cinema on the global stage. The world was watching. And they were impressed. But here's the thing. Back home, the reaction was divided. Some celebrated the international recognition. Others criticized the film for reopening painful wounds. And Nora found herself at the center of a controversy that had nothing to do with her performance, and everything to do with politics, grief, and national identity. But just as her international career was peaking, one decision would divide the public and change how people saw her forever. More on that later. First, her peers had something to say. The following year, she won the Luna Award for Best Actress for the same role. The Luna Awards are given by the Film Academy of the Philippines. Actors, directors, producers, people who understand the craft from the inside. It wasn't just critics or foreign juries anymore. It was her fellow artists saying, "This is the standard." The award reinforced industry-wide respect for her ability to portray national trauma through personal storytelling. And it showed that even when the subject matter was painful, her work demanded recognition. But after such an emotionally draining role, many wondered, what's next? Would she retreat into safer territory? Or would she disappear entirely? The answer would come more than a decade later, and no one saw it coming. By the 2000s, most actresses her age would have retired and faded gracefully into legend status. But Nora, she was just getting started on a whole new chapter. In 2012, she won the Asia Pacific Screen Award for Best Actress for Thy Womb. This is one of the region's top international film awards, recognizing performances across Asia and the Pacific. She played a woman confronting infertility and cultural tradition in a remote fishing community. Critics highlighted her ability to convey emotional weight through silence rather than dialogue. She didn't need long monologues or dramatic breakdowns. Just presence. Just a look. Just the weight of unspoken grief. And it was enough to beat out some of the best actresses in the entire region. People started asking, how is she still this good? How is she still evolving? The answer was simple. She never stopped treating every role like it mattered. And the critics back home? They hadn't forgotten her either. That same year, she won Gawad Urian Best Actress for Thy Womb. This wasn't nostalgia voting. This wasn't a Lifetime Achievement Consolation Prize. This was recognition for a performance that stood on its own merit. Critics noted her shift toward minimalist, introspective acting. A completely different style from her earlier work, but just as powerful. She had learned to do more with less, to trust silence, to trust stillness. And it paid off in ways that prove she wasn't just surviving in the industry, she was still leading it. But the international accolades weren't done yet. In fact, the biggest Pan-Asian recognition of her career was just around the corner. Then in 2013, she took home the Asian Film Award for Best Actress, also for Thy Womb. This is one of the most prestigious Pan-Asian film honors, where the best from China, Japan, Korea, India, and beyond compete for recognition. Winning it placed her among the top performers across all of Asia, not just the Philippines, but the entire continent. It signaled her full transition into international art house cinema recognition. The world was paying attention again. And this time, they weren't just being polite. They were genuinely impressed. And then Europe called. And what they had to say surprised everyone. She also won Best Actress at the Vesoul International Film Festival of Asian Cinema in France. Vesoul is dedicated to celebrating Asian cinema globally, and winning there meant that European critics, people who had access to the best films from around the world, chose her performance as the one that stood out. Her win reinforced her reputation among a whole new audience, one that didn't grow up watching her films, one that had no nostalgic attachment. She was no longer just a Filipino icon. She was an international one. But all those individual wins, they were building towards something even bigger. A recognition reserved for only the rarest of legends. After winning FAMAS Best Actress 5 times, she was inducted into the FAMAS Hall of Fame. This honor is reserved for performers who achieve sustained excellence across decades. It placed her in an elite category shared by only a handful of Philippine film legends. Names spoken with reverence, names that define entire eras. It wasn't just about one great role. It was about a body of work that shaped generations and set a standard that still hasn't been matched. And her dominance didn't stop at the movies. She proved she could conquer any screen she stood in front of. She also racked up multiple wins at the PMPC Star Awards for film and television, proving her dominance wasn't limited to cinema alone. Whether she was on the big screen or in a television drama, the result was the same: excellence. And over the years, she received countless Lifetime Achievement Awards from cultural organizations and film academies. These weren't just trophies handed out to make someone feel good. They were celebrations of her influence on acting standards and Filipino cultural identity. She had shaped how an entire nation saw itself on screen. But there was one honor left, the kind that comes once in a lifetime, the kind that changes everything. In 2022, she was named a National Artist for Film and Broadcast Arts. This is the highest cultural recognition awarded by the Philippine government, placing her among national poets, composers, and cultural icons whose work has defined Filipino identity. It's not given for career success alone. It's for long-term influence on national identity and artistic expression. Public response ranged from celebration to debate. Some saw it as long overdue. Others questioned the timing, brought up old controversies, whispered about politics. But one thing was clear: her impact was undeniable. And whether people agreed with the honor or not, they couldn't deny that she had earned her place in history. So, what does all of this add up to? It's not just about the number of awards, it's about what they represent: industry recognition, critical respect, international validation, national honor. Nora Aunor didn't dominate one era. She dominated across generations, from the 1970s to the 2020s. She didn't choose between art and commerce, she conquered both. And she didn't just win trophies, she made stories unforgettable. From a pop star in the 1970s who was dismissed and underestimated, to a national artist in the 2020s whose legacy is carved into the nation's cultural foundation, her career is a masterclass in reinvention, resilience, and raw talent. Her legacy isn't defined by how many awards she won. It's defined by how many lives she touched, how many stories she brought to life, and how many people she inspired to believe that Filipino cinema could stand on any stage in the world. And that's a legacy no trophy case can fully capture. Because the real award? It's knowing that decades from now, people will still be watching her films, still studying her performances, and still asking themselves, how did she do that? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most legendary careers in film history, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment below and let us know. What's your favorite Nora Aunor performance? And make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. We've got more stories, more legends, and more untold truths coming your way. See you in the next one.